This came up high.
This is for a state record.
Let's go!
Let's go! Up!
Zach Burnett asks how to deload and how often. So this is basically going to be, I deload, so first off, you should absolutely deload. For my clients, deloads are always planned. I will, usually it's between a period of anywhere from 3 to 7 weeks of training, of hard training, and then I will give them a deload week. And how do I determine that? Basically, the bigger, stronger the lifter is, the longer they can go without needing a deload. Females don't really need to deload as often, is what I found. The more beginner you are as a male, less strong, you can train for longer, get away with it without fatigue catching up and forcing you to deload. And then I will say that the best way to deload is just to cut overall volume in half. So let's say on the last week of training you did a 5x10 on bench press, so that's 50 total reps. You could do a 3x8 and then reduce intensity down by about 25% from what you were doing on your last week of training. So for example, hypothetically, you're doing 5x10 on your bench press with 200 pounds. So you would take 25% off of that load for 200 pounds, and then you would get 150 pounds, and then half of 5x10 would be like a 3x8, 24 total reps, since volume is sets times reps times weight, and then do a 3x8, and then yeah, take your deload weeks. If you don't deload if you don't plan it, your body will deload for you via just extended periods of time of just terrible training. You have no motivation, your joints hurt, you're not able to overload, you just have terrible psychology around going to the gym. I'm sure that I think that a lot of people neglect the importance of fatigue management with taking deloads and rest days. So definitely take deloads once every 3 to 7 weeks. Cut volume in half with your sets and your reps, and then cut intensity by 25%. Another question from Pfaffinator asks, how do you periodize your program? Do you use DUP, max effort, or conjugate? I actually use, it depends on the athlete's goal. Since he's asking about me, personally, I will do block periodization where I separate strength, hypertrophy, and peaking mesocycles. And I have experience with DUP in those phases, but how I use DUP and the proper way to do it is not going from like a 3x4 to like a 3x12. That's non-specific. The first principle of strength training is specificity. So if I use DUP, it's basically going to be alterations in primarily intensity in a certain rep range. So if I'm in strength, for example, and I'm using a DUP based, where I have a heavy deadlift session early on in the week, well, because I know that I might be, probably going to be pretty fatigued from that, I'll have a lighter deadlift session in that week, but it will still be in the same rep range. So let's say I had, a 5x5 deadlift with an RPE of 8 early on in the week. Well, how I do later on in the week is I would probably do like a 2x5 or a 3x5, like an RPE of 6. So that's how I would use DUP, and then I use block periodization. And then week to week, I will start with my minimum effective volume for growth and titrate that all the way up until I hit my maximum recoverable volumes, will slightly exceed them, functionally overreach, take a deload week, and then go and repeat that process. Adding sets each week, and then I will also increase RPE each week. So like week 1 would be like RPE 6, week 2 RPE 7, week 3 RPE 8, week 4 RPE 9, week 5 RPE 10, and then that's my functional overreaching week, and then go back down to my deload week, hits some light weights, and then repeat the process. Devon Gilmore asks, how should a team get into powerlifting? I think the best way to get into powerlifting is to learn proper form on the squat, bench, and deadlift, and get on a good program. And then don't be really concerned as long as you're above like 12 years old, and you're not training with too much volume for your age. So start with like lower volumes. Probably don't do a 5x5. I'd recommend doing something like do like a 2x5. Really get your technique down. I would really prioritize your hypertrophy over your strength development, and then initially, because basically the bigger that your muscles are, the more potential you have for strength when you do teach it to become more neuromuscularly efficient. So probably spend most of your time in hypertrophy. So like a good example would be do like your first 3 months, do like 3 months of training in hypertrophy, and then 2 months of training in strength, and kind of rinse and repeat for like your first year. That's a decent way. If you're my client, I would be a little more specific with questions, but like in general, that's what I'd recommend. So learn how to do proper form. Don't train with too much volume. Film your sets, watch them back. That's huge. And get a coach if you do not have one yet, because they really help. I have one. Tomas Cattaneo says, does hypertrophy matter when it comes to powerlifting? I mean, it can help, or is it a waste of time, or because of a more strength approach. So like I said earlier, hypertrophy is not a waste of time, and it does matter with strength development. If you're not very big, if you're 130 pounds, 6 foot tall, you're probably not going to be able to be very strong. But if you gain 50 pounds, you gain some muscle mass during that time, you're going to have more potential to be strong. So hypertrophy matters with your potential for strength and to become more neuromuscularly efficient. So I would really recommend, prioritizing hypertrophy. I think that's the biggest issue, is that I see so many people with powerlifting that just always train within like the 1 to 5 rep range and never spend enough time in dedicated hypertrophy phases. So definitely spend that time and gain muscle. Try to get incorporate them strategically into your programming when needed, just because it will help you become a better powerlifter. And it'll also, like, the reason why like I do block periodization too with like hypertrophy and whatnot is because each of those phases potentiate themselves. So with hypertrophy, you get bigger muscles. Well, that potentiates your body to be able to be more efficient with strength, with maximal force development. And then with peaking blocks, it's about expressing what strength you built in that strength block. You don't really build much strength in peaking blocks just because the volume is pretty low relative to, like, it's going to feel hard because it's super maximal. It's like 1 to 3 reps, with mainly squat, bench, and deadlift. It's going to feel hard, but it's really not that high of volume actually, because volume is sets times reps times weight. So basically just forget about building strength in peaking blocks. You're just building what you're expressing all the hard work that you did up until that peaking block. So yeah, that's kind of a long-winded question. Sorry, I kind of ramble. Question 9, Zenpa asks how he pushed back the block of not fast enough progress. This is a really good question. I really like this one because we all kind of get to that phase where we're past our new gains and we aren't progressing as fast as we once were, we would like to, we think that we should. I think I just had to reevaluate my expectations. I realized that, I'm stronger now. It's going to be harder to keep getting strong because your body doesn't want you to, there's something called myostatin, for example, that actually prevents your body from getting like as jacked as you possibly can. And, your body will kind of fight against you. It'll get harder as you get stronger. Each set is more and more fatiguing and demanding on your central nervous system. So I just reevaluated my progress, and I started, instead of looking at short term, I started looking more towards the long term, because I kind of made the whole mindset of, well, maybe if I only gain 10 pounds to my total each month, in 1 year, that's still 60 pounds. So play the long game, and then reevaluate your expectations, respect the process, realize that this is just a part of it. And if your progress is slowing down a little bit, say, okay, well, that's expected because I'm stronger, and just keep trying to get stronger, and just don't give up, and you'll get there. We all gonna make it. 10. Wise 3 says, how to work around injuries, steps to take if you're injured to maintain gains.